thing. So if you're not authentic in your personal life, you can't be authentic in business. And a lot of people freak out when I say they got to be authentic. And so let me explain that a little bit. To be authentic, it means you need to let your freaky side out. So if you're into crazy shit, like I own a farm and we have chickens and ducks and goats. If I don't talk about those chickens, ducks, and goats and I try and hide that from the public eye, then I'm not showing up authentically. I've got like the guy who does a lot of editing on my podcast. The dude raises snakes, and his authentic side of things from his video and editing and everything else is he has channels and YouTubes and Instagrams all dedicated to snakes and stuff, and he's raising them, and he's very successful in that realm. But if he were to hide all that, then you're covering up an opportunity to really grow and scale yourself. So it goes back to whatever you're into, let the world see that, because that's when your people show up. It's when you get real and authentic and let them into your world, and then everything can go from there. So your values are what you are behind closed doors. Can you bring those into the public eye?
Yeah, and we see that especially we'll see that on TV or whatnot. Different people they take a certain moral stand, and then they end up getting sort of grilled for it. I feel that's unfortunate, because they are in fact being authentic, and they should be honored for that instead of being grilled for it. And people just need to embrace the suck, as we said in the service.
Absolutely,
just suck it up and deal with it. If you don't like it, move on.
Absolutely.
So what is something that you wish that you did earlier in life that now is vitally important?
I think everything I've done in my life has built me to who I am now, but 100% would have started earlier. I wish I would have started my own company back in my 20s, when I was even bigger risk taker than I am now, because the older you get, the tougher it gets to create something. And I truly wish I would have spent my early 20s into my late 20s building an empire versus learning how to be a sales guy.
Sure. Yeah, and we all have those same kind of regrets. What hurdles did you have personally to face when you were transitioning out of the military and then into entrepreneurship, and how did you overcome that?
Oh, that's an easy one. The military did jack shit for me. And when I got out of the military, I really thought that being a Marine was going to mean something on a resume. I really thought being a Marine was going to show that I had work ethic, I had values. I really thought that being a Marine would put me above competition. Yeah, none of that shit happened. Being a veteran means jack shit in the civilian world. And the quicker people embrace and own that, the better off they will be. I think for me, what saved my ass somewhat was my best friend and his dad owned an HVAC company. I was able to go to work for them really, really quickly. So I think for the guys getting out now, humility is going to be a huge thing. Is you're going from a very structured environment, a world where you're told what to do and how to do it on a regular basis. Right. And I think learning to start over is one of the greatest assets they can put in play. Now, later in life, I learned that being a veteran has been a great asset in business and has helped me out tremendously. But when you first get out, you realize you don't realize how much you don't know about corporate America and the civilian workforce and how it all functions and works. So, like when you got in the military and you were dumb about everything in the military, it took you a year or two to figure out what works and what doesn't work in the military. It's the same thing in the civilian world. And what I tell everybody that comes to me about transitioning out is like, look, if you were a badass and you rose through the ranks in the military, if you have to suck it up and need to take a shit job starting out, you're going to rise through the ranks the same way you did in the military. As long as you go for it. Just don't come out expecting the world to be, delivered to you on a silver platter. And And then the second thing I would tell you is even though I said take a shit job, go take jobs that you learn a skill set, not a job just to earn an income. Because whatever job you take, you're not going to be there long, because that's just the nature of the beast. You've got so much mental shit that you got to get over when you get out. So go work to learn a skill set and quit waiting for the world to show up for you.
Yeah, good words there. Was that obvious for you, or did you kind of stumble upon that reality?
Oh, dude, I fucked everything up when I got out. As I tell you, I went in the military not knowing what the hell I wanted to do. And I got out of the military not knowing what the hell I wanted to do. So I spent many years afterwards stumbling through trying to figure out what path was for me. And I can tell you that it took a long time for me to really wrap my head around who Donnie was and where I was going to end up.
So when you did that, kind of talk me through how you got started on that.
So for me, somehow I've always ended up on stage. So in my sales career, I learned how to network really well, and people started inviting me into their organizations or their associations to talk about networking. And when I found myself on stage, inevitably people would ask me what I do for a living, and I would talk, especially when I was doing commercial printing, selling commercial printing, I would start telling people what I was doing, and then I realized I could make money from speaking. Not only people would pay me to come in and speak, but then, I'd pick up clients from that speaking engagement. So it became a regular part of my arsenal in addition to from the sales world, from cold calling to kicking in doors, is I started speaking on a regular basis because people wanted to know more about you if you had the guts to be in front of a room to do the speaking side of things. So I never wanted to be a motivational speaker. That wasn't my goal and or ambition. It was a business move for me, and it's evolved into being a motivational speaker. It's involved in being a sales coach, a mentor coach. It's my life is a constant evolution based off experiences all the way through, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Would you say if there was something that compelled you to become, the person that you are today, as, sales coach and motivational speaker and so forth?
Yeah, it all goes back to my old man. My father handed me the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill when I was 14 years old. But, of course, I didn't read the damn thing until I was 22 after I got out of the Marine Corps. And I can't say that book changed my life other than the fact it opened me the world up to self-help, and that there's people out there that are teaching skill sets and whatnot. So it really opened my eyes to that world. So I think that's what really pushed me in the right direction to further my career, further my destiny, and ultimately build my legacy.
Oh, cool. It's good to hear that, you did learn that from your dad, because, a lot of people don't have that scenario,
right,
where they don't have a good father figure to give them that kind of hand up. So that's good. Is there a profession that you're, other than what you're currently doing, that you would like to try to do?
No, I think I'm doing it. I mean, I recently launched my podcast, which is I'm having some great success with and enjoying the hell out of that. I do public speaking, private coaching, team training, maybe a rodeo clown. Maybe we'll try that someday, but no, other than
I can see that. I can actually see that. What would you say is your greatest strength and your greatest weakness?
My greatest strength is probably my bluntness. I was recently in a scenario where people had to write on a card, some motivational phrase or something about the individual that we were sitting around the table with. And one guy wrote on my card, "Holy shit." And I really enjoy my bluntness and the fact that I just call it like I see it. And I think more organizations and teams need guys like me that are going to be the outspoken, not follow the leader type people. And I really enjoy that about me.
And as far as weaknesses,
None. I'm perfect. No, I'm kidding. Weaknesses for me is probably cockiness. My ego gets me in trouble all the time. But that same token is that's also a weakness. I mean, cockiness is a strength and a weakness. For me as I run through, and being empathetic. Sometimes too empathetic, sometimes not enough. Both are strengths and weaknesses for me.
Sure. What is the place that you would go to get your best ideas? Do you have somewhere?
Yeah. Books, audios, podcast. I constantly consume information for growth.
Oh, excellent. That's interesting. Some people, they go out in nature or whatnot, that they find that's where they come up with their ideas.
James, I'd also throw in there that mentors and other badasses. I love getting around people that have accomplished shit and figuring out how they do it. Do that a lot.
Yeah, and it's very, very inspirational too. So if you could describe kind of from a very high level, what's the process behind what you do in your business?
Sure. I just help people get out of their own damn way. I think everybody has a dream, goal, vision, something they want to accomplish. And it's always come back to some sort of fears holding them back. And, as kids growing up, 90% of the kids out there got their teeth kicked in by friends, family, and we're all the result of our upbringing. And I think it's unfortunate because everybody looks back on that, and that's all the shit that's holding them back. And all I do is, whether it be through the podcast, whether it be through speaking engagement, coaching, or whatever, is help people look that fear right in the face and push through it. Because you get past whatever's holding you back, and nothing will slow you down. The second thing is I teach people is failure is just a learning process. You never fail. You just quit, right? There's never any failure. You just stop. You quit trying. So it's just helping people see that on a regular basis, how to actually go for it.
Okay. And is there something about you that would be a true statement that almost no one would agree with?
Well, that's an interesting question. Something about me that is true about me that no one would agree with you on. I don't know if there is, James. I think people don't see sometimes how compassionate I am. How I actually really care about people. I think people see my bluntness or my cockiness sometimes and don't think I give a damn about people. And even though I say that, I don't think that many people believe that I'm that cocky or have that big of an ego. So I don't know if even that's a true statement in trying to say it. So I don't think there really is, bud.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and just on the last question, this is sort of tailored for you since you are Jarhead Marine. If you were to pick if there's going to be a new color of crayon in the box, what would that color be, and how would you describe that?
I don't know what the color would be, but it's got to be something badass. So I'm thinking like a dragon holding a flamethrower bazooka with C4 strapped to his ass, some sort of just elite badass thing. And you know what? Screw you for that question. Look, I like the 64 colors because it came with the sharpener, all right?
Oh, absolutely. That's the ultimate box right there.
Absolutely.
Now, we should keep one of those and give one of those to you next time if you're willing to come onto the podcast with me.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate your time coming in today, this afternoon, and I love the opportunity to be able to speak to you, get to know you and your business, and really how you look at things.
Yeah, absolutely, brother.
That's an important thing to dig deeper into a person and get to know what really is important out there.
Absolutely, man. My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.